I'm Prafnil from Nekota and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Stanley Godler and I'm from Australia, but I'm part Fijian from Watraki, and I love listening to Today FM Rocks.
For the best music and less talk, we tune into Today FM in National Village. Today FM rocks.
My name is Inai Ali and I'm from Ba, and I love the big breakfast on Today FM. I just love it and hope you love it too.
My name is Jay from La Paz. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Naushin and I'm from Sambeto, and I love Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. Tonight, Human Rights Commission says Parliament shouldn't be used for hate speech. Fijians recall fond memories of independence in 1970. And Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama to make trade visits to Australia and New Zealand. A flood alert is now in force for all low-lying areas and small streams adjacent to major rivers. The Nandi Weather Office says heavy rain and strong winds are expected to continue tonight and gradually start easing from later tomorrow. An active trough of low pressure has produced rainfall in excess of 50 mm in some places, and it still has potential to produce more than 100 mm of rainfall over the next 24 hours. This amount of rainfall is likely to cause flash flooding and flooding of low-lying areas due to localized heavy rain. Over the last 24 hours to 9 a.m. today, Lauvala Bay and Monasavu recorded 57 mm of rain, Yasawe Rara 77 and Vunise 84. President Major General retired Chiochi Kondrote has called on the country to reflect on what it means to be a Fijian. The head of state says this is the time to decide what our future will be and to ensure that we do more for those in need. Rachel Nath reports.
In his first Fiji Day address, President Major General retired Chiochi Kondrote says our developments since elections 2014 should be a point of pride for every Fijian.
I urge you to not only remember the past, but to look to the future. To envision where we can take our nation next and how we can ensure that the world we leave behind for our children is a better one than what we inherited.
As Fiji marks 46 years of independence, President Kondrote says the theme moving all Fijians forward in unity has a significance that extends far past today's celebrations.
It is the marching tune for the Fijian government as we seek to involve all of our people in our national progress. And it is incumbent on each one of us to match this commitment in our daily lives, that commitment to leave no Fijian behind.
While we celebrate, the head of state points out that every effort must be made to improve the lives of those most vulnerable and disadvantaged.
If we do seek to move forward in unity as a nation, it is these vulnerable groups that require special attention and care. Our women, our children, the elderly, the infirm and the disabled all need our assistance. They all need to know that they are valid members of our society.
The President also made special mention of troops on peacekeeping duties around the world, saying Fiji cherishes the remarkable idea that we are the most noblest peacekeepers in the world. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
The Fiji Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission is calling on parliamentarians to show more class when debating issues. As Fiji marks 46 years of self-determination, the Human Rights Watchdog says some elected leaders haven't been doing right by the people who voted them into Parliament. Kelly Vavala reports.
It's being heralded as...
Speaking on FBC TV's For the Record last night, Director Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination, Ashwin Raj, was somewhat outraged at the level of debate in Parliament.
Parliament as an institution is a very, very powerful platform. And when ordinary citizens hear politicians use the language that they do, of course they'll feel, sort of kind of vindicated that, this is fine. Our leaders are saying this. They're doing it. It's okay to identify difference. It's okay to incriminate. It's okay to sort of identify and vilify communities and so on and so forth. If they can do it and get away with it, why can't we?
Raj says racist comments, bigotry and attacks on gender and identity must not be allowed to go unpunished, and even supports the belief that parliamentarians should have their privileges removed and face criminal charges in these instances.
I think the issue is what's happened in Parliament throws into relief this tension between the rights and freedoms that are guaranteed in the Constitution and the kind of responsibilities that come with it and the kind of limitations that have been put into place.
Raj adds there is still work to be done to bring about multiracialism and acceptance of differences, because even now the Commission receives a number of complaints of racism almost every day. Kelly Vadhala, FBC News.
46 years ago, hundreds of thousands of Fijians celebrated the birth of an independent Fiji. Their place in history will never be forgotten. And tonight, Shireen Shivan speaks to some who stood in Albert Park as our flag was raised for the first time.
Among the crowd packed into Albert Park on Independence Day was 67-year-old Jalaluddin, who clearly recalls the events of October 10, 1970.
I remember, even though I came so early, there was not a single space left. So we spent a whole day sitting under the sun on that Saturday, waiting for His Royal Highness Prince Charles to come together with the rest of the government protocol. And Ratu Sekamisi Semara was not the Prime Minister at that point in time, he was a Chief Minister. So as Chief Minister and his cabinet, they all came down following the arrival of His Royal Highness Prince Charles, and there was a little shade on a stage.
The former civil servant remembers the traditional ceremony and cultural items to welcome Prince Charles to Fiji and the message he delivered on behalf of Queen Elizabeth II. It was then that Ratu Sekamisi Semara was constitutionally announced the first Prime Minister of Fiji.
Through as the ceremonies went on, and then it was all under official protocol. There was security all over the place, and the Prince did not go around the Albert Park at that point in time. But later in the afternoon, when he got out of his British Navy tunic, and he was wearing a bula shirt and long trousers, and he moved among the crowd together with his security. That's when I saw him very close.
Thelma Radule, who was studying at the Corpus Christi College, also has fond memories of the independence ceremony.
And as the flag was raised, there were 3 RNZ-AF planes that flew over the flagpole, and that was everybody, woo, because they really flew down really low. And then there was also a gun salute, and after the gun salute, everybody, there was another volley of rifle shots, and everybody waving their little blue flags.
Noor Begum was also among the thousands of Fijians at Albert Park. She tried everything to convince her mother-in-law to let her attend and almost didn't make it.
Traveling with a baby 6 months old in the bus, in the crowd, she said, I don't think you should go. But I was very much wanting to come, and my husband also, he was very supportive, and I'm glad that we made it that day. And it's such a memorable moment that we did attend here. And in those days, Shireen, you know, we didn't have TV to watch the ceremony. We didn't even own a camera to capture those moments.
There are many hundreds of Fijians who have grown up with these memories. People who shared in one of the most significant events in our history. 46 years have passed since Fiji's colonial status was abrogated, but their stories will be told for decades to come. Shireen Shivan, FBC News.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama will be making an official visit to Australia and New Zealand later this week. Industry and Trade Minister Fayaz Koya says this will double as trade visit to promote Fiji as an investment destination. Rachel Nath reports.
Trade visit coincides with Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama's official visit to Australia and New Zealand.
Traditional trade partners anyway with Australia and New Zealand, so we're trying to promote more and more investment.
Fayaz Koya confirms Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama will be opening a symposium in Sydney, Australia, and also delivering an address in Auckland, New Zealand.
We're trying to grow our economic base at the end of the day, so it's some of the areas that we decided to target was agriculture and ICT.
Australia and New Zealand are the biggest trading partners for Fiji and hold the most potential for increased investment in the years to come. This trade visit will see Bainimarama's first official visit to New Zealand in his role as Prime Minister. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
Coming up on FBC News, Financial Intelligence Unit reports tax evaders to FIRCA, and government liaises with Australia and New Zealand to protect the interests of seasonal workers. Stay with us.
Wani laki-laki lo menikoro. Tau vinakavio na va ma Mbula FM. Niron tau vinkarabio ben hiloko viroro ozo. Na Mbula FM number 2 na share.
Iyo Mbula vina tangu epeli untuk taliten na barang Mbula FM na bu.
Number 2 tinangan Mbula FM na usuri. Mbula FM number 2 na share.
Mbula sia kuni va ulambasa na ko Vila Merikibi Mbula FM number 2 na share. Talita itu ngai lambas.
Mbula FM number 2 na share.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Only 12% of Fiji's population is covered under any form of insurance. This was confirmed by the Reserve Bank of Fiji. According to their recent survey, this figure has deteriorated over the years. Kelly Vadala with this report.
The drop in the number of people insured has become a pressing issue for the country, says Governor Barry Whiteside.
Insurance is something that covers you for the risks that you face in life, whether they be a risk of ill health to yourself or to your family. It could be the death of the breadwinner. It could be disaster striking and damage to your property.
Industry representatives are working together to raise awareness through a 6-week program with various media companies.
So we've come together with the Reserve Bank, the Pacific Financial Inclusion Program, with our fellow insurance stakeholders to try and make people aware.
Newly appointed chair for the Insurance Council says the issue lies in the lack of knowledge and the culture of borrowing instead of being prepared.
And just get people a lot more aware about the benefits and how in times of hardship insurance can actually really help to recover or to rehabilitate.
Of the 200,000 people insured, only 500 claims were made after Tropical Cyclone Winston. The Council and Reserve Bank of Fiji stress the importance of being insured and request the public to be more proactive. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
The Fiji Intelligence Unit investigated 137 reports of tax evasion in 2015 worth $95 million. Director Razim Baksh says all cases were reported to the Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority. Rachel Nuth with the report.
The Fiji Intelligence Unit profiled and investigated 1,200 individuals for possible suspicious activities last year. Director Razim Baksh says the unit also investigated 600 entities also for possible criminal activities.
In total, for 2015 to 2013, we can say that 500 reports were given to FIRCA and police, amounting to $400 million, which is quite large.
The unit also provides intelligence to Fiji Police Force and other enforcement agencies such as Investment Fiji, FICAC and FIRCA.
We have come across a number of individuals, a number of entities who had fraudulent motives, who had transactions that we believe were tainted, or investors who were not genuine, or invested who had some form of criminal background that were wanting to invest in Fiji.
Baksh adds the unit has put in new procedures and measures in place to assist protecting the economy from such threats. However, he stressed despite their protective measures, an economy can never be entirely safe from threats. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
Australia and New Zealand have an obligation to ensure the well-being of Fijians contracted under the Seasonal Workers Scheme. Employment Minister Chonio Somate says people selected to work in these two countries need not fear. Ali Gimbia has more.
The Fijian government, working with counterparts in Australia and New Zealand, will ensure that thorough processes are followed to protect workers' interests under the Seasonal Workers Scheme.
Our obligations are to screen the workers that we have, to try to make sure that we have the best possible kind of workers that they need. We look at them medically, we look at their fitness levels, we look at all of these things. By the same token, when we have an understanding with the Australian government or the New Zealand government, they will also screen the companies that will employ these people.
Usamate says the government makes sure that recruitment companies are transparent when dealing with workers.
What people need to expect will happen, that information is given out beforehand, so that there's people don't get false impressions of what's going to happen.
There are close to 500 people in the work-ready pool, which will be made available to Australia and New Zealand for recruitment. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
More babies are being delivered by cesarean at the CWM maternity unit because of an increase in the number of childbirths. From an average of 9,000 deliveries every year, about 1,600 are C-sections. Grace Narayan files this report.
The CWM maternity unit was built to cater for 6,000 births annually, but it's actually been delivering 9,000 babies. Head of maternity Dr. James Fong says this has led to an increase in the number of cesareans.
What we cannot change is the number of cases we receive and the space provided for us to work in. Those two issues, the number of cases we receive and the space provided to work in, has to become part of our long-term plan. And I do know that government has put aside money for extension of the maternity unit.
With capacity being an issue, some mothers have raised concerns over inadequate space in the wards after surgeries. There have been incidents of women becoming infected after being discharged.
It wasn't a really good experience because I had to take baby with me to the hospital and I had to worry about her, and protect her from all the bacteria and whatnot.
What I think in here, the changes that should be considered necessarily for us infected patients, I think it's the rooms. Separate rooms for infected patients, because there are some patients that go through very strong infections.
Dr. Fong says the infection rate from C-section is not at critical level and is being managed by the medical staff. However, he does admit that the space issues at the maternity unit needs to be dealt with.
The problem of complications happening after cesarean section has been something that we've been dealing with since late last year. We have now taken on a more academic view of this, and we have created a proper registry so that we can track how a cesarean section decision is made.
Doctors first noticed infections from C-sections late last year, simply because the rate of surgical deliveries has gone up from about 15% to 18%. Grace Narayan, FBC News.
A family in Somerville, Suva is homeless after their house burned to the ground today. The fire started at around 11:30 a.m. and was fully engulfed by the time firefighters arrived at the scene. No one was at home at the time of the fire, and the National Fire Authority is now investigating. Fiji Airways has restored the Fiji flag on its aircraft. Managing Director and Chief Executive Andre Fillion says the flag is a common expression of national pride for flag carriers and has today returned to its rightful place to feature prominently on Fiji Airways and Fiji Link aircrafts. All 15 aircrafts in its fleet have had the Fiji flag affixed to the front of the plane, proudly carrying the national symbol to over 18 destinations in 11 countries. And sports is up next. Here's Jamie now with a preview of what's coming up.
Like Zaki, and good evening. Up ahead in sports, action from the Quartz IDC finals today. And Fiji International hailed a success. Stay with us for this and more.
मैं जुगेन नबील तालिब से रेडियो फीजी 2 24 घंटे मेरे साथ रहता है।
हम मंगेरी ताउका के ललिश है, हमारे दिल में और दिमाग में खाली रेडियो फीजी 2 है और सभी भाइयों से आग्रह करते हैं कि रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनना चाहिए।
मेरा नाम अभिनेश है, मैं निंदी का रहने वाला हूँ। मैं सभी समय रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनता हूँ क्योंकि उसमें आईना प्रोग्राम रहता है।
हाय, मैं उमेश नसासा नाबुआ से। मैं जब
First up in sports tonight, Lambasa currently leads Mba 2-0 in the second half of the final of the Premier Division of the Quartz Inter-District Championships, currently underway in Suva at the NZ Stadium. Here are the 2 goals.
Tuibuna, but Lambasa have other ideas. They come in with a cross and a good one by the bounce by Leki Mangonerao. And in the 5th minute of play, Leki Mangonerao has put Lambasa up by 1-0. Plays it neatly for Gabrieli Matanasinga. Matanasinga plays it through and onside was and Ratu Anare. The defenders were caught that side, and in the 22nd minute of play, It is these Bar defenders left Ratu Anare unmarked.
Meanwhile, earlier in the day, Nasinu won the senior division final, defeating Navua 2-1 in extra time, with both teams locked at 1-1 after full time. Nasinu found the winner in the second spell of extra time. In the semi-finals earlier today, Nasinu beat Rakiraki 2-0, while Navua accounted for Taviuni 3-0. And it was a strongly contested final between Camille College and Nandi Muslim College in the secondary schools competition of the IDC. The game went to penalty shootout after both teams were tied 3-3 at the end of extra time. Camille eventual winners by 4-3 on penalty kicks. Still with the IDC, Lautoka won the primary schools competition. The Junior Blues defeated Lambasa 5-4 in penalty kicks after both teams were locked at 1-1 after extra time. Here are the highlights. The 2016 Fiji International Golf Tournament has been hailed a success. The four-day event finished on a high yesterday with American Brent Snedeker taking out top honours.
Of Ryder Cup glory to taming the topics, Brent Snedeker has been...
Another year and another top-notch show put on at the Fiji International.
We had Nick Price in the first year, and then we had Kucha, and of course we got VJ, and they are telling other people, you must come to Fiji, the course is amazing, and the people they all say are the friendliest people they ever get to meet when they're playing golf tournaments.
There is no break for organisers as renovation works on the golf course need to be done.
The fourth hole has always been the hole that everyone talks about. That green will be pushed back into the water. The 12th hole, same, it will be pushed back onto the beach. 5 or 6 of the greens will be flattened, and we will clear a lot of the vegetation.
Take 2 for Matthew.
It is now a challenge to make next year's event even better.
We are very close to announcing a new date for next year. We've advised the Fijian government our recommendation, and so we're very hopeful in the next 4 to 6 weeks we can announce it.
On the last day, there might be some challenges.
World number 23 Brent Snedeker proved to be the best at this year's tournament, winning it in style and walking away with close to $400,000 in prize money. Rohit Dev, FBC Sports.
A golden afternoon from Marty McKenzie and his Stephen Perifetta hat-trick moved Taranaki firmly into the Mitre 10 top 4 with a commanding 54-31 win over tired Wellington team yesterday. That's it from sports this evening. It's back to Jackie now with weather.
Thanks so much for that, Jamie. Heavy rain and squally thunderstorms affected most parts of the group today. An active trough of low pressure with associated low pressure system remains slow moving over Fiji. Associated cloud and rain is expected to affect the group till later tomorrow. Let's take a look at the temperatures. Most centers were in the mid to high 20s today. Only Lambasa and Savo crossing over into the 20s. And tomorrow's forecast is for rain and thunderstorms over the group, so keep those umbrellas and rain jackets handy. And the further outlook, we're looking ahead to Wednesday, periods of rain, heavy at times, and few thunderstorms. Recapping the main stories for tonight, a flood warning is tonight in place for all low-lying areas adjacent to streams and rivers. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama scheduled to visit Australia and New Zealand later this week, and Employment Ministry to look after the welfare of seasonal workers. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Results from last week's poll question, we had asked, should corporal punishment be reintroduced for violent criminals? 83% of respondents answered yes. This week we are asking, are we prepared for the upcoming cyclone season? To answer, visit our FBC website. Be sure to send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Good night.
Yandra! I love listening to Gold FM at Golden Point Resort. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hola, my name is General from Rakiriki Village. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic.
I'm Moses from Valeu. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Marida Manako. I'm from Kandavu. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Silipa from Tagua Town. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.